What up, simps? I am here after about a week of my little Q&A questionnaire being up on my channel, and now I'm here to answer all of your questions. Some of them were on the video itself. I allowed some other questions to appear wherever else I posted them, like Twitter, or there were some that I got from Instagram. And I'm going to go over all of them. So this may take a while. This is not in any particular order, so we're just going to go. The first one we're going to do is from Famous Jamus on YouTube. Congrats on 5K. Looking forward to the Q&A. You made it. One out. We're good to go. Let's go. This one's from the Primordial Chronicles. What is the worst FromSoft game, and why is it Sekiro? First of all, it's not Sekiro. Second of all, the worst FromSoft game is probably Kingsfield 1. Let's be real. I'm assuming that you mean the modern From Software catalog, and in that, if that is what you wanted, this is what I will say: it's Dark Souls 3. To me, it's not even close. I have a whole video that you can watch right here about it. I wouldn't really recommend that video because I kind of don't like it anymore, but I stand by some of the points that I made in it. But if you wanted just a brief answer about why I don't like Dark Souls 3, it is as follows. It's way too fast and doesn't really have a system in place that benefits or incentivizes you to be fast, other than if you aren't playing fast and aggressive, you're gonna die. Bloodborne has a wonderful system in place where it incentivizes aggression through its, I forget what it's called, the system that gets you health back for dealing damage while you are damaged. So if you take damage, the game says, hey, if you don't push back harder, you're not going to get your HP back. So there's at least an incentive to be aggressive. Also, the dodging is like a sidestep, which is a little bit quicker. It just feels way faster than even Dark Souls 3. But there are so many things in place in Bloodborne compared to Dark Souls 3 that make the aggression in Bloodborne feel way better. I think that is the gist of my main issue with Dark Souls 3. That and the level design is kind of poopy, and I don't like any of the bosses. I think they're all bad. I genuinely think every boss in Dark Souls 3 is hot garbage. What are some of my favorite animated series of all time? Animated series. I mean, looking at me, this might not be a surprising answer, but I love BoJack Horseman. I've watched the first like 3 or 4 seasons as the show was still coming out. I think I watched the first 3 or 4 seasons probably like 4 or 5 times. And I've watched the whole season from start to finish probably twice, I think. Maybe just once. I'm also a gigantic fan of Over the Garden Wall. I think it might be the best animated show ever, maybe? Huge Over the Garden Wall fan. I've never shown that show, or I guess really, I've never shown that movie to somebody and they didn't at least enjoy it. It's fantastic. I think that Over the Garden Wall is the premier autumn Halloween season thing that you can put on. It's not necessarily spooky, although it does have, creepy moments here and there, but it's just, the vibe of that is what I think the autumn season is when you get past Halloween, if that makes sense. Like, everybody associates autumn and the fall season with spooky vibes, and it's just because Halloween is like right in the middle of that, or like right at the beginning of that. And I think that's sort of like a detriment to the season itself, even though I do love Halloween, because like autumn is just cozy. It's the coziest like season of the whole year. I like winter too, but granted, I live in California, so I don't have to deal with like snow and stuff. But I like the winter too because, you get to cozy up and, get warm under the blankets and stuff. But like, there's something about the autumn season that is just like, there's nothing like it. It's just wonderful. And I think Over the Garden Wall really captures that like essence while still being like a Halloween spooky thing. It's great. One of my favorite things ever. I'm trying to think if there's another one off the top of my head that I can think of. I had those two like ready to go. Oh, I don't know if I said that was Indestructible Hero, but that was Indestructible Hero that asked that question. Worldwide Wub asked, what is a video game trope or mechanic that you feel is overused, and what is one that you wish would get used more? This might be like a really generic answer, but I do think that like the entire survival genre at this point is just so overblown. There's like a million coming out. It's a lot. And like the whole crafting system and like all this stuff, I'm not super familiar. Like I don't even know if I'm really qualified to answer with this answer, because like I don't really play a lot of survival games and I don't play a lot of games with crafting. But like it's kind of really hard for a mechanic for a mechanic to become overused, I think, because you know, as infinite as video games are, and like as boundless as the indie scene has showcased game mechanics to be, there's still like a limit of what you can do. And I don't think that it's wrong if it works to just use what you know. You know, granted, like there are plenty of mechanics in games that I do like that are used poorly in other games. I think it might just be a lot of people feeling that problem. Like, I think when someone says, oh, this is overused, they're just tired of seeing a good idea implemented poorly. I wish I had a more just simple answer, but that's kind of where my brain went to, and I apologize. But to answer your other question, one that I wish would get used more? Fixed camera angles, please. I missed fixed camera angles and tank controls. Again, the indie scene is, you know, keeping it alive and well, but I want it everywhere. I want to see a AAA fixed camera game, please. It'd be incredible. I want Capcom to make Revelations 3 a fixed camera game. It would work as a spin-off. It would be amazing. You can have your already big, stupid, blockbuster AAA first-person Resident Evil games again, and then have Revelations just be like remake again. Just another one. It'd be please. Guys, Sad Face asked, I definitely like to know what your favorite type of videos are to make. What do you love most about content creation? And most importantly, where did Love Your Face, Love Your Show come from? My favorite types of videos to make are ones that I don't make a lot, to be honest. Well, I guess my favorite... Okay, let me simplify that answer. My favorite videos to make are ones that I know from the get-go the entire video. Like, my first video that I ever made, a little, like, retrospective kind of video sort of on, like, the Resident Evil remake on the GameCube. I basically had envisioned that entire video from start to finish in my head before I made it. The Killer 7 video that I made was also one of those. The Lies of P one was pretty easy, and I firmly believed everything that I was saying in it. Stuff like that, where like I go into the video knowing like, this is what I want to say, this is how I want to say it, and I'm hyped as fuck to make the video just out the get-go because I have so much to say about it. Those are my favorite types of videos to make. But I don't make those ones super often because I'm dumb and I don't like making easy videos. But then I make life harder for me in the process. What do I love most about content creation? This might seem counterproductive, but my favorite thing is when I finish a video and because I don't know if anybody knows this, at the end of every one of my main videos, if you wait past the ending, I do a little bit where I go, tomato is a fruit, but it's also a vegetable. Like, just exactly like that every single time. And I always save me saying, I always save the recording of that until I am firmly finished with the video. So my favorite part is doing that because I know that I have finished the video and I can look back on everything and I know instantly that all the hard work was worth it because look at how cool this thing I made is. You know, that's my favorite part. And most important, where did Love Your Face, Love Your Show come from? Love Your Face, Love Your Show came from I believe a friend of mine, Liz. I'm going to ask to see if I can get permission to use a picture of her. I'll try to get the most not flattering photo possible. But if not, I'll just put like a random person here. I think she said it like once or twice But then I started saying it too, and then she never said it again. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna. It's fun, and I think it gets the point across. I love your face. I love your show, dude. I love you and everything you do. It's just a fun thing to say. Love your face. Love your show. The best part about it is that either people get it or they stare at you like, are you like, do I need to call HR? It's like, no, I'm just saying that I like you as a person. That's all it means. Wild Potato Industries asked many things, so we're gonna get to all of these. They said, congrats on the 5K. I'm so happy for you. Thank you. I have a handful of questions to make your job harder. When will you publicly apologize for saying Devil May Cry 2 was alright? I won't. I think it's fine. I'm sorry. It's as good as the first one, which I don't hold in high regard that much either, though. So, be more angry that I don't think that Devil May Cry 1 is that good. How much worse has your life been since playing Dead Space 3? There's a looming sadness just hovering over me at all times, and I give the looming sadness about another couple weeks, and then I think I can emotionally recover. But that was a lot. It's been a long time since a game has defeated me like Dead Space 3 did. Has there ever been a video that you regretted making? If so, for what reasons? Regret is a strong word. I feel like if there is something I regret about any of my videos, it's that I feel like I could have done a better job at explaining myself, and I think my my Dark Souls 3 video is the prime candidate for that. I look back at that and I say, I'm like, hey, this guy is just fucking hating on this game, even though I do hate it. I feel like if I were to ever remake a video, it would probably be my very first video and that one. Has there ever been a video that you wanted to make that you haven't made because you think it might be too outside of your wheelhouse? Yeah. My next video coming up is going to be not about video games. And that one probably would have been my answer if you asked me this about a year ago, but I'm going for it. And then, but the one that I still have yet to make would be kind of like one of those videos that are super popular right now, that where it's just like, I did all of these things, and here's why I wanted to kill myself while doing it. Like, I watched every episode of The Simpsons. I watched every episode of Jimmy Neutron. I don't feel like that's kind of like my shtick or my kind of like angle on anything, but I feel like I have an idea for one of those that could work with me. But if I feel passionate about something and I want to talk about it, I'll find a way to make the video work. I'm having a little bit of difficulty right now with the current video I'm making, but only just because it's kind of really difficult to do it, because a normal video of mine, I can just easily rely on like game footage, right? Like, I can talk about the mechanics and showcase the mechanics through video. But like, if I'm talking about music, I don't have that kind of luxury of just like footage to go off of. I have to like find live recordings and stuff like that. It's a completely different thing. And finding like the way to visualize what I'm talking about I'm finding it to be a lot more difficult. But that's the long answer to that easy question. They keep going. How emotionally prepared are you for Shadow Corridor 2? I didn't realize that they were making a Shadow Corridor 2, and to those not in the know, Shadow Corridor is one of the few games that has actively terrified me to the point where I can't play it. That game is anxiety in about a gig, and it's a lot. And if they're making a second one, I'm genuinely a little nervous to even boot it up. You've probably been watching YouTube just as long as I have, so I was wondering if there is a specific era of YouTube that you are fond of. This is going to sound really fucking nihilistic and sad, but I kind of am fond of YouTube back before I started making videos. I have this thing, this is definitely a me thing, but like, I've done this with music too, because if you don't know, I'm in a band, if you say so. I've had 2 bands prior and 1 solo project. But if I get actively invested in a creative outlet like music or now video making with like content creation on YouTube, I kind of find it really hard to just watch to engage with that art form. Because once I'm like creating it, I kind of unintentionally like catch a lot of tropes. It sort of ruins art for me in a way. I used to watch YouTube like a lot. I used to have just binge channels after channels and stuff. There are still ones that I watch pretty frequently, but since I started making videos, I don't really like to compare myself to other content creators, so I actively avoid a lot of YouTubers that I probably otherwise would watch. And in that sense, I do kind of reminisce about just watching a bunch of videos and enjoying it. But at the same time, I get way more fulfillment out of making them than watching them. So, without completely discouraging folks, what are some hard truths about making content on YouTube that people outside of the sphere might not really be familiar with, and what are some ways to deal with that? Or at the very least, what is some advice that can help people persevere through it? If a video actually does somewhat well, you will get a lot of people, no matter how confident you are in the video or how good the video to you is, or even a lot of people that watch it. You're gonna get a lot of people that tell you that you're fucking stupid. And that kind of sucks. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of effort with very little gain, unless you just miraculously pop off. I've been doing YouTube for 3.5 years. I've made, I don't know, roughly 60 videos. And only very infrequently have I gotten any sort of like real feedback. You know what I mean? And that can be very discouraging. But, you know, I made myself a little mantra when I get down looking at the numbers, because I can't help but look at the numbers because I'm a psychopath. Fucking spam calls, dude. I made a mantra. And the mantra is simple, it's a truth, and it's just something that you kind of have to live with for, likely, if you're trying to make videos. It's a mantra that you're going to have to just live with. It's a rhythmic mantra. I don't know if that's different than a normal mantra, but I'm going to call it that. I'm going to TM that. Rhythmic mantra, TM. It goes, sometimes a video will just hit, and you need enough of those hits. And you just say that over and over again if you're feeling down. Sometimes a video will just hit. You just need enough of those. That's it. I hope that answered all your questions. Jared Graphics 2013 said, this new indie game came oit, called Lie of P. Heard it was the good. You should check it oit. Thanks, Jared Graphics. I think I will. Cicada Sirens, congrats on the 5K. What is my favorite horror movie soundtrack? This might make me sound like an insane person, but I've actively listened to the Eraserhead soundtrack many times just by itself. I love the just oppressive, just constant cacophony of that soundtrack. It's in a way terrifying, but also in a way very strangely beautiful. Big fan. Rumen in Love asked, they said, congratulations. Thank you. What is your favorite Pixar, Disney, and DreamWorks movie? Only asking because I've been on an animated binge recently. My favorite Pixar movie is Ratatouille, no questions asked. It's the best movie they've ever made, and it's not even close. DreamWorks movie is probably just the first Shrek. I don't care what anybody says. Shrek 1 is way better than Shrek 2 by a mile. And as far as Disney goes... didn't Disney make Treasure Planet? Was that Disney? I really fucking love Treasure Planet. It is. I loved Treasure Planet. I think I might have watched Treasure Planet more than any movie I've ever seen growing up. I love Treasure Planet. Really good. Ro asked, well, first they said, congrats, you deserve those subs for real. Thank you. I would like to ask, though, what's your favorite video? What my favorite video of the ones you've made and published, and the videos you're most proud of? Sorry if it's a doozy of a question. It is not. It's kind of hard. So I don't think I can really name just one that is my favorite, but I'm most proud of my Tunic video, my Omori video, And I think it's pretty easy to say that my Alan Wake 2 video that I just put out last month, that one, if I had to pick one, is probably my favorite. I'm incredibly proud of how I managed to convey what I wanted to convey out of that video. I took a deep introspective look at myself and what it means being a YouTuber, and like how it can affect my view of art, which is, I talked about a little bit ago, but what that means as a critic, and how that can affect how I interpret and appreciate and all this stuff. That's what that video ended up being, which is not what it was going to be originally, but what it ended up being, I think, is better than what I could have hoped for, really. If you haven't checked out my Alan Wake 2 video, I really do recommend you give it a look. I think the title kind of threw a lot of people off and they didn't feel like clicking on it, which is a shame because that video was more than the title, for sure. And then they also asked, what is my favorite show of all time? My favorite show of all time is Severance on Apple TV Plus, which is the biggest detriment to it because no one watches it. It's my favorite show ever, no questions asked. I've seen it 4 times, and I watched it only a year ago. I cannot wait for season 2. I am actively trembling with anticipation at every single leaked thing that that manages to come out of the production. It's incredible, unbelievable. And if you had asked me that before I watched Severance a year ago, I would have said Samurai Gourmet. And if you had asked me a year ago before that, I probably would have said BoJack Horseman. Norina Sotha, I'm so sorry if I got that name wrong, said, congrats on the 5K. Thank you. As for the question, what do you find is the most difficult part of making new content in general? Unless, like I said earlier, unless I'm like just gung-ho about what I know I want to say about something, the hardest part is definitely the writing. A lot of people don't like doing the voiceover or editing the voiceover, but that stuff doesn't really bother me too much. It's the pressure of writing it and being like, if this isn't good, the whole video won't work. You know what I mean? I think the writing has the most pressure on it for me, and just kind of like living up to my own standard, because I don't want to sound like I'm up my own ass or anything, but I feel like I put a lot of thought into my videos about like the angles that I take for them. I actively don't ever try to just talk about a game and be like, I thought it was pretty good. I feel like I could do that, but to me that would be really boring. And instead, I punish myself severely by trying to find an angle that is either unique or not sought out very often, or one that might just kind of be different. And sometimes by taking that route instead of the traditional, just like, man, isn't this game really good kind of thing that a lot of people seem to do now, I put myself in a box of suffering and frequently stress about the writing process. But I think 8 times out of 10 pays off pretty well, I think. So, it is what it is. I just suffer for my art, that's all. Samuel Colt. Well, they say congrats on the 5K. Thank you. A really sweet thing. Again, thank you. I read it and I really appreciate it. Anyways, question. Outer Wilds. Is it a game that is all on my radar, and what are my thoughts on it if I've played it? If not, do you think I'll pick it up sometime? I am aware of it. It was on Game Pass for a little bit. I played it for maybe 2 hours, and then I never picked it up again. Not because I didn't like it, but just because I wanted it to be a stream game, and I just never found... To those not in the know, by the way, hold on, who like watch streamers and they're like, man, their job is so easy. They just play video games and talk all day. That's so simple. I love video games. I love playing video games. And hey, look how long this Q&A answer is. I love talking, okay? Streaming is fucking exhausting and takes a lot out of you. So I never found the willpower to continue streaming that game. So I never got very far in it, but I did like it. I do want to finish it at some point. I just don't have it anymore because it's not on Game Pass. And I'm poor, so I can't really buy it right now. One day, I will. What game release were you most hyped for that turned out to be disappointing? What game did you pick up on a whim that turned out to be amazing? What game turned out to be really disappointing? You know, you're probably expecting me to say Dark Souls 3, but here's the thing. I had beaten Demon Souls by the time the Dark Souls 3 came out. I beat Demon Souls by the time Dark Souls 1 came out. But I was never really, like, a big fan of the games until, like, COVID happened. Or right before 2020, even. Because I finally decided, hey, I'm going to sit down and beat these fucking things. So I can't say Dark Souls 3. The thing is, like, it takes a lot for me to get really hyped anymore about a game release. I'll be excited for games, and I'll actively, like, be there when they come out, but I don't get super hyped for much anymore. I think the last time I was, like, actively ready for a game release was, this is going to sound silly, but Resident Evil 4 last year, remake, but that was literally just because it's fucking Resident Evil 4, and it looked great. All the promotional material that they put out made it look like it was going to be the best game ever again. Even though that Resident Evil 4 is not my favorite RE game, but, you know, whatever. I can't think of a game that, like, actively disappointed me because I was hyped for it, but I'll just pick a disappointing game instead. I think I got two games that I think I can classify as disappointing. One of them is an indie game. It's a roguelike game called Dead Link. The Next Fest demo that I played, I think, 2 years ago at this point, was the best demo that I played at that Next Fest. But when I got the actual game, there was just something about it that, like, didn't click with me anymore, and I was really disappointed by that. I was like, what happened? Where did all of my love for this go? It's not a bad game by any means, but it just didn't click with me anymore. It was really bizarre. The second one is kind of a subject to change answer, but Nier Automata, I got pretty close to the end, and I think, you know, subject to change, I might be wrong about this, but everybody talked about, like, how touching that game was, and yeah, there are moments in it that, like, were sad, but the impression that I got was just, wouldn't it be sad if robots also got sad? That was incredibly disappointing for me, and I still haven't finished it. I got to, like, I forget how many times you have to, like, beat the game, but I got to the one right before the final one, and then I got to the end of that one and stopped playing, and I've never picked it back up again. I have 27 hours in it. I'm pretty close to finishing it. Sorry, I know everyone likes Nier Automata. It's a really good game for 20 hours, and then for me, I was like, oh, they're just sad robots? Okay. And then I was kind of out. Yeah, sorry. I know that's probably going to make some people upset. I might actually lose subscribers because of that. But hey, like I said, subject to change. If I'm wrong, tell me. I might give it another go. What game did I pick up on a whim that turned out to be amazing? This little fucking demo I got from Next Fest called Balatro. Holy shit, are you kidding me? This might be my favorite roguelike of all time. And I'm not kidding you. I've put 22 hours in just the demo. I'm trembling with anticipation. It's the perfect price. I'm broke and I'm still gonna get it. Oh my fucking god, more spam calls. I'm fucking broke and I'm still gonna try to get Balatro when it comes out. It's incredible. What's the most niche game or mod that I really enjoy? I could name a couple that probably wouldn't classify as, like, most niche. I don't care what anybody says. The Castlevania games on the N64 fuck, and they fuck hard. I love those games. Killer 7 is probably not niche anymore, or at least not obscure enough anymore to be niche, but I still love Killer 7. 8650 asks, Dredge, have I played it? Oh, then they just reviewed Dredge. I have not played Dredge. I plan on playing Dredge at some point. I don't know much about Dredge. I know you fish stuff and that it's spooky. That's about all I know about it. Hence why I'm not going to read out your review, because I want to keep some of it a surprise. But I do plan on playing it. It's just bank account. The Summer of Mark said, congrats. Thank you. Top 10 hip-hop albums and top 10 rappers. Oh, fuck, I forgot to look this up. Relatively speaking, hip-hop is like a new genre for me. Relatively speaking. I've been listening to hip-hop for, like, I don't know, like 8 years now. But I mean, look at me. Out of the gate though, Illmatic by Nos is incredible. Low End Theory is obviously great. Pimp a Butterfly is fantastic. It breaks my heart to even give Kanye West a shout out here, but I mean, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is one of my favorite albums like ever. Fuck that guy though. Okay, so Summer of Mark, I'm sorry, I can't answer this question to the fullest because I don't have enough. And the answers that I do have are generic as fuck, and I feel cringe for saying them. Black on Both Sides is also another really good one, by the way. Oh, and MF Doom, of course. I love fucking MF Doom. And Death Grips. All the Death Grips albums could be my top 10. I will say, though, that if you like hip-hop and you want to find some new hip-hop that's good, check out Benjamin Earl Turner and his video for Headspace. It's not only a fucking amazing song, but the music video is incredible. It's one of the best music videos I've seen, potentially, like, of all time. It's amazing. That would be my answer. Sorry it's not really enough. I just don't have the knowledge and wherewithal to fully answer this question. I apologize. I really do. Sire Mortal, again, I apologize if I mispronounced your name, asked, what are my 5 favorite Metroidvanias? So, Metroidvanias are a funny little motherfucker because I think that they're easy to... Again, I don't know anything about game development. I think in concept, they're easy to just make. You make a big map, you put obstacles in it, and then you just have obstacles that are solved by getting items. Done, paycheck cashed, right? But it's so difficult to get a really good Metroidvania. I think it's one of the hardest genres to like do well. It's funny because at the same time, Metroidvanias are one of my favorite genres. I'm just very, very particular when it comes to Metroidvanias. Super Metroid, obviously. Hollow Knight, obviously. Castlevania Circle of the Moon is another one of my favorite ones. Castlevania Circle of the Moon was the first Castlevania game that I like fell in love with on the Game Boy Advance. It's incredible, and I think it holds up. I played it recently, not all the way through, but I played a lot of it, and I think it still holds up really well. I have the potential unpopular opinion that old school survival horror games, like the original couple Resident Evils, are Metroidvanias. So I would consider Remake on the GameCube to be my favorite Metroidvania potentially of all time, if not Super Metroid. I've not played Guacamelee, and I've not played Ori and the Blind Forest, although those are games I definitely intend on doing at some point. The OG Blasphemous is really fucking good. I've not played the second one yet. Potentially, you're not asking for a hot take, but I'm going to give you a hot take. Symphony of the Night might be the most overrated game of all time. I don't like Symphony of the Night very much. I've tried multiple times to play it, and I get 4 hours into it, and I just get bored. I prefer Castlevania 64, Legacy of Darkness, or Original over Symphony of the Night any day of the week. I wouldn't consider this like of all time, but Pseudo Regalia that came out last year is really solid. Highly recommend you check that one out too. But if you're going top 5, I would probably go Super Metroid, Blasphemous, Circle of the Moon, potentially Resident Evil Remake on the GameCube, and Hollow Knight. Basil the Flower Boy asked, a question, What color would you choose to be if you had to pick one? Like one solid color from head to toe. Any clothes you would wear would also become that color while you wear them. Very curious what you would choose. I've thought about this since reading this question, and my answer would be this. This very specific shade of purple, I think, is the most aesthetically pleasing color to just be without being too bright, too much, too, like, painful to look at. I think this is the perfect color to be. Tricky Boy asked, have you ever had a dream that you wanted him to do you so much you could do anything? Least favorite 2 boss fight and favorite DS2 boss fight. My least favorite is the Royal Rat Authority. That fucking thing sucks. I can't believe that thing got through playtesting. It's unbelievable god tier trash. And so is the Royal Rat Vanguard. My favorite fight... My gut tells me Velstadt, but I feel like that's not right. Maybe it is, though. Dark Lurker's cool, too, but I think Velstadt is, like, the perfect fight in that game. The Rotten's really good. Old Dragon Slayer's really good. Duke's Dear Frey is pretty alright. Ruined Sentinel's even good. Dude, DS2 fucks. I don't care what anybody says. That game rules. Okay, we have an addendum question from the Meteor Room. They say, yo, congrats on the 5K. Thank you. I don't know why I look that way. Thank you. As for my questions, why is Berkeley the best character in Crimesight? Berkeley's the best character simply because he knows what he loves and he doesn't care what anybody thinks about it. This motherfucker loves food and he doesn't care who knows. He's like Garfield. Garfield loves being lazy and he loves fucking lasagna and he hates fucking Mondays. And he doesn't fucking care what anybody thinks about him. And he just goes with it. And we all love Garfield for that. Why can't we all love Berkeley? Love Berkeley. R.I.P. Crimesight, the GOAT. What are some things you do to overcome writer's block? This is actually a really good question. I have 3 things that I do. 1, simple, play video game. I either play the game that I'm doing a video on, or I just play any game and kind of just forget about the game and forget about the video I'm making on. And then I can come back with like a fresh mindset kind of thing. The second thing I tend to do is just work on the video. I've said previously that I kind of work in a weird order where like I'll work until I get like a certain part of the intro done written, and then I'll just kind of start working the video then. And if I'm ever having difficulty with writer's block, I'll just say fuck it and start working on more of the video if it's not already all done. Having the video kind of like somewhat finished, not somewhat finished, but you know, coming along and working more on that can either help me with what I want to, like, it helps me figure out kind of where I want to take it, or like the flow of where it should go. And then the third thing is, I can't believe I'm saying this, have a mental breakdown. My Signalis video that I did, this one right there, the entire last half of the video I wrote in about an hour, because I was just, I don't know. I had like a full on, like, my mind broke for about like an hour and a half. I just kept writing and writing and writing, and the whole, I made no edits to the last bit of that, of the script. What I wrote in that hour is what appeared in the video. I wouldn't recommend that third one, but that is something that has happened and has worked, unfortunately. When are we playing Ricochet again? To those not in the know, Ricochet is Valve's long-lost IP. It's a competitive shooter game where you hop on little platforms and stuff. And it's actually pretty fun. I don't know why it gets shit on, apart from the fact that it's just so bizarre. It's kind of like the Smash Brothers of first-person shooters. I'm down to play Ricochet. I like Ricochet. I'm not afraid to admit it. What are some lesser-known YouTube channels that you enjoy watching? I'll recommend 5. I'll start by recommending Tricky Boy, friend of the channel, friend of the show. He makes like normal boots era style videos, super quick paced, super funny, really well done editing. I would recommend Dark Fry. He's a very interesting fellow. Antagonistic is a word I would give him, I would describe him as, but like playfully antagonistic. And he also just has kind of like really interesting angles on game design and stuff. I would recommend, if you like board games, maybe check out Jed. They recently shifted their channel to talking more about board games. They used to, it looks like, exclusively be kind of like a Let's Play channel. I hope that they continue making videos about board games, because I love board games. You should like board games if you don't. And Jed has a video on how you might start liking board games. Right there, that one. I will go on to continue to recommend Wild Potato Industries, friend of the channel, friend of the show. I don't think that they're going to continue making videos, but I would recommend, even with that being said, that you check out some of their stuff. They have a very lo-fi aesthetic to their entire channel, and they just have a really, interesting and unique viewpoint, I think, of the world and the video game industry and culture and stuff. Would recommend. And for number 5, I think I would recommend Arkham 666. They do like retrospective stuff. They recently made a video, a nearly 5.5 hour long video about Larian and like the road to Baldur's Gate, and it got a criminal low amount of views, so I think that you should check that out. But they do really neat stuff, and they're a 3D artist, and that's always neat. Bonus recommendation, Kyle Bossman. He's not unknown, I don't think, really. He used to be on Easy Allies, but you want to talk about a unique angle on the industry? Kyle Bossman is the one, and he's also fucking hilarious. I have actively gut busted laughing at many of his takes and many of his jokes. So those are all the questions that were on the YouTube video itself. I have a couple that were on Twitter. Hot Cider asked, "What's my favorite part about making videos, and as a bonus, which bit do you wish was easier about making them?" As I've sort of answered this already, but my favorite part is the end, for the reasons I stated before. But if I'm being like objective, like if I'm saying like of the actual process of video making, my favorite part is probably the voiceover. So the way that I make my videos is probably not the best way to do it. I write, words. If I get to a point where I'm like, this is a good enough intro, because I'm usually like stuck in my head on writing, and I feel like if I can't write, then what I will do is I will do voiceover, and I'll just start doing voiceover. But like there comes a point when the video script is like done, and I just splurge out all of it, and that's always fun. A lot of people don't like doing voiceover. I don't mind it. You can hire me, but I'm completely fine with doing voiceover. The only part about doing voiceover that isn't fun is constantly making mistakes. That can be frustrating, but that's probably like objectively my favorite part. But again, there's nothing better than just going, "Tomato is a fruit, but it also a vegetable," because I know the video's done, baby. What do I wish was easier about making them? Writing scripts, but I do that to myself, so it's okay. Kohana on Twitter asked, I believe I'm saying your name right, I apologize if I'm not, "What would you like to accomplish on your channel this year?" I have a very simple answer, but a probably not simple answer. I think what I want to accomplish most this year is maintain people watching. I feel like a lot of people will watch my channel, hit the subscribe button, and then completely forget that I exist. My goal is to not have that happen. I want people to watch my stuff and say, "I like the cut of this guy's jib," and watch more of my stuff. My goal is to have people stick around. That would be what I would like to accomplish. Another thing I could say, I guess, is like if you just want me to give you a goal that I want to have hit, I would like another 1,000 by the end of the year. I don't know if that's doable or feasible, but that would be nice. So I got a couple more questions that were on Instagram. So I'm using my phone. My buddy Devin said, "How many K subs until this could be your job?" Probably at least 50. Probably around 50,000, because by that point, YouTube probably wouldn't be paying me that much. They'd be paying more than they are now, but I would probably be able to make enough between YouTube and like Patreon and stuff that could theoretically be my job. But my main goal is to just have this be like an official part-time thing. Like if I could, my dream would be to have this channel doing relatively well. I'd be happy with 50K. Making, I don't know how much you make off 50K, And having like a real regular job 2 days a week. That would be my dream. Any money that I make from that, the real job, would be like just free money. And I would still get like 5 days a week to do this. It would be perfect. Oh my God, it would be amazing. That's my dream. My friend Nolan asked, would I ever go on a date with a fan? No. It's just too weird. My friend Jason asked, what is the best Flash era game? I wish I had looked this up because I played a fuckload of Flash games. Oh man, there was a Flash game. It was a puzzle game. And I had an emulator on my computer before I got a virus. It was a puzzle game, and like you had to go. There was like a meteor coming to the planet that you were on, and you had to go to like an ice realm and like another realm. And I think you had to go to like 3 realms. It was an ice realm, a future realm, and like a past realm or something like that. And it was a puzzle game. It was like Myst or something. It was fucking amazing. It was so good. I loved it. I beat it like 4 times. As far as Flash games, though, like generally speaking, I loved puzzle games on Flash games. Like there was a game called like Doors. I loved like the Impossible Quiz was fun. But I think, and you know, there was other stuff too. There was like miniclip.com had like that one game where you were George Bush and like terrorists were attacking, and he just had like a fucking AK and he was like shooting motherfuckers. That was fun. It was funny. A little cringe, but it was funny. And it was, you know, as a Flash game, pretty good. But the problem is, a lot of those games are just kind of like lost to time now. Oh, Submachine was another puzzle game I really loved. The Submachine games are fantastic. And I think they just re-released them on Steam. Oh, Famous Jamus actually asked a question on on Instagram, so that's cool. What do you think Blue Point is working on? Early predictions for Game of the Year. Ideally, the easy answer is like a Bloodborne remaster. So I'm going to go with a Bloodborne remaster. I would like a Bloodborne remaster, please. A Bloodborne remaster. Or a patch. Anything. Just fucking anything. I need... Why? Early predictions for Game of the Year, though. Balatro. It's unbelievable. It's so good, I can't even begin to tell you. Snobby Urban Champagnes also asked a question. No questions. Just screeching. Huh. Well, those are all the questions I got for my 5,000 subscriber Q&A, my 5K Q&A. Many, many thank yous to everyone who asked a question. Many, many thank yous again to everybody who watches my content. And many, 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 many thank yous to everybody who stays watching. New videos being worked on right now as we speak. I'll see you when that video comes out, hopefully by the end of the month. It'll be nice. Love your face, love your show. Remember to smile. Ha! You thought I was going to do it this time. Those are for the mainline videos, baby. Stick around and you'll hear it then.